The fuck?
That's just juvenile.
When I got home and saw the footprints on the ground, along with cigarette butts scattered around, my gut told me danger had arrived. I quickly grabbed my gun from the car, scaled the wall into the yard, and cautiously approached the house. Rock music was blasting inside, but my wife was nowhere to be found. I rushed to the bedroom. It was completely trashed, with bloodstains on the walls. I immediately called my wife and learned she'd been severely injured and hospitalized. My brother-in-law said a man and woman had broken in, beaten her nearly to death, then left in a green taxi when they thought she was done for.
They came for you, and they weren't about to leave a witness.
Listen very carefully. I promise, I swear to you, nothing like this will ever be allowed to happen again. I transferred my wife to a private hospital, then headed back home. I had emergency gear stashed there. Armed and dressed like a tourist, I drove around looking for that green taxi. When I found it, I noted down the cab company. That night, I went to the company, pretending I had urgent business. The moment the dispatcher opened the door, I took him out, then entered the control room to check the trip logs. I quickly identified the cab that had been near my house 2 days ago. The driver had curly hair. To cover my tracks, I ransacked the office, scattered cash around to stage a robbery, and left. Early the next morning, I waited outside the garage. When Curly drove out, I followed him immediately. After a while, I got out ahead and flagged down his cab like a passenger. I pulled my gun and questioned him about that couple. Curly said they'd gotten off a private jet, hired him to drive to a private residence deep in the woods, came out an hour later, and headed back to the airport. Though he told me everything, I had to eliminate him to avoid loose ends. I knew only my boss, Pete, could know who these two were. He was the only one who knew my home address. Using a fake ID, I flew to New Orleans. At the warehouse here, I picked up prepared weapons and a new passport, switched license plates. Then, dressed as a janitor, I staked out the apartment building where my boss lived. When I saw a delivery guy enter, I followed with my trash cart.
Thank you so much, man. You're a lifesaver.
As he opened the magnetic door, I started counting.
2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000, 6 1,000.
The door would fully close at 7 seconds. When the delivery guy was about to leave, I pretended to drink from a water fountain. Once he left, I wedged my foot in the door just before it sealed. I walked straight in with my gun and toolbox. The secretary was terrified when she saw me, but my target was Boss Pete. I had the secretary tie Pete to a chair first, then tie herself up in the bathroom, leaving the door slightly ajar to monitor her. Under interrogation, I learned my wife's beating was a warning from a client because I'd failed to assassinate a tycoon last time. I wanted to know who the client was, but Pete stuck to his code of honor and wouldn't talk. Without